It was the 20th meeting of the Federal Executive Council for the year 2020 and 11th to be held virtually in the new normal. The ravaging coronavirus pandemic, which affected over 580 local government areas of the country, dominated discussions sequel to an NCDC memo submitted by the Minister of Health. A request for 8.49 billion naira from the Special Intervention Fund for COVID-19 being operated by the Presidential Task Force was therefore approved towards expanding its testing and diagnostic capabilities. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, on his part, responded to the recently held political rallies in parts of the country, maintaining government's position that for now, mass gatherings remain prohibited. The Federal Executive Council also approved a new policy towards mainstreaming gender within the Climate Change Action Plan, called the National Gender Action Plan on Climate Change. The minister enumerated agriculture, forestry, health, water and sanitation, energy, as well as transportation as areas of priority in the Gender Action Plan, aimed at reducing gas emissions in Nigeria by 45% before the year 2030. The National Gender Action Plan, Dr. Muhammad Mahmoud explained, is to be funded by, amongst others, proceeds from the Green Bond, support from international donor agencies, as well as special budgetary provisions for ministries, departments and agencies. The iconic 17-story building known as the Nigerian Content Tower, with the full complements of a 10 MW gas-powered power plant and 1,000-seater capacity conference center, was inaugurated by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timepre Silva, on behalf of the President. Addressing participants at the ceremony virtually, President Muhammadu Buhari said the completion of the project reflects his administration's infrastructural development drive towards attracting investment, creating jobs, and further enhancing efforts at lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty.
With commissioning of this project, I want to highlight that we have put in place a landmark of reference in the Niger Delta to reflect long-lasting legacies that signpost the years of oil and gas exploitation, and I assure you that there is more to come. I must commend the Nigerian Content Board for the successes recorded in the last 10 years since its formation. The edifice is a befitting birthday gift as you mark your 10th year anniversary as a regulator and developer of local content in the oil and gas industry.
Describing local content as critical in all activities of Nigeria's national life, especially with the prevailing coronavirus pandemic, the President expressed the belief that production and patronage of goods and services locally are part of the surest ways to empower the citizens and give them viable opportunities to excel in their chosen professions and business endeavors.
Local content and self-reliance are the key principles of the recently approved 2.3 trillion naira National Economic Sustainability Plan. The plan is aimed at the promotion of local production, local services, local innovation, and the use of local materials. It is imperative that we must produce what we eat and produce enough of our requirements and more for export. All these policy directives and programs are also meant to address some of the causative factors of insecurity.
Already, he said, 2 executive orders have been issued relating to enforcing local content in public procurement and contracts towards further replicating the successes being realized in the oil and gas sector. President Buhari congratulated the people of Bayelsa State for being the proud host of the landmark edifice in the heart of the Niger Delta.
The National Agency for the Great Green Wall is the agency of government which has been saddled with the responsibility of implementing the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. You recall that in 1992, the Earth Summit in Rio was held, which gave birth to 3 protocols or conventions. These are the Climate Change Convention, the Biodiversity Convention, and the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. You will also recall that in 2005, our former president attended a summit on the implementation of that convention, which gives particularity to Africa. And at that summit, it was decided that each of the participating countries should establish an organ of government, a department or agency, that will be solely responsible for the implementation of the convention. And that was in 2005. By 2006, the president then invited his colleagues to Abuja to launch the program in Nigeria. Incidentally, Nigeria originated the concept and launched it, and therefore we have been in the forefront of the implementation since then. As we speak, there are 11 countries participating in the convention in sub-Saharan Africa, from Senegal in the west coast of Africa to Djibouti in the Horn of Africa. And the 11 countries are all participating. Nigeria is one of them. Because of the mandate of this convention, that is combating land degradation in dry lands, some African countries that are not members are beginning to come in. As we speak, South Africa has indicated interest. Egypt has indicated interest. The Arab countries wanted to come in. But of course, for now, there are still 11 countries. Now in Nigeria, the agency works in 11 states. That is why to us, the 11 is a magic number. 11 countries, 11 states in Nigeria. And these 11 states are, if I can start counting from the northeast, Adamawa, Bauchi, Gombe, Borno, Jigawa, Yobe, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara states. These are the 11 states that participate in this program. Now, it is a known fact that the area is vast. It is an area where you have most of the animals, livestock. You have large, expansive croplands. You also have a big population, about over 40 million people living in these states, and so many communities. And therefore, it is a very big responsibility the agency is carrying. But as you might have known, the agency is very young. It was put in place in 2015 through an act of parliament, and it started operating in September 2015 as an agency of government supervised by the Federal Ministry of Environment. Our mandate broadly is combating land degradation in drylands of Nigeria, and this is why the 11 countries come in. Now, how do we do it? Or what are the ways and means we do in order to carry out our mandate? Broadly speaking, there are 2 aspects. The first aspect is human related, where we do activities to improve the livelihood of the people, to improve family income, and also improve the daily earning of individuals and those who, by one way or the other, do not have other things to do. And that's all. Some are land-based, some are handcrafts, off-land activities, and land activities. The other activities we do are land investments. The areas are dry because there's no sufficient water, and that's the basic thing. And what we do is we try to do various models of afforestation, tree planting, smart agriculture, agriculture that will be can be practiced better and achieve more, bearing in mind the area is dry, bearing in mind that the climate change today, which makes life more difficult for the farmers. And we've been doing various models of plantation, as I said. We've been providing infrastructure like water to the communities. I told you we have vast animals around, and these animals, of course, need areas for grazing. The population is large, they need land for agriculture, and sometimes, from time to time, you get this kind of resource conflicts. And the major resource conflict is grazing land and water. And therefore, we try to provide water, not only to irrigate our trees we plant. This water are also used for domestic use, so that brings down the issue of conflict in that direction. So broadly, we've been working in those areas for that 5-6 years. Now, the next question you may want to ask is, okay, you have a broad areas. How do you now reach all the areas? The truth of the matter is that at the last count we had in 2013 in communities in these states, there are over 200 communities. But in order for us to have an impact, vis-a-vis the resources available in terms of human resources as well as financial resources, we decided to take 5 communities from each state to work therein as the first set of communities that will benefit from this program. And this gives us 55 communities now as we speak, where we work. We provide these livelihood activities on land, off land, land investments, afforestation, like wood loss, windbreaks, social forestry, and other things. And we are now bringing in institutional planting as well, for 2 basic reasons. Many of the institutions in the areas we go to are barren, so we want to bring in some form of vegetation on them, and more importantly, to be able to carry the young ones along with us. They'll be working with us and then learn the art, and they will now begin to appreciate environment from the word go as kids. We have recorded some modest achievements in all the states. Now, what are these achievements? These achievements, as I said, revolves around 1, the people, and 2, the land. Now, when you establish a woodlot, when you establish a windbreak, that is shelter belts, when you establish dryland agriculture to assist the farmers, you have done so many things at a time. 1, you have protected infrastructure by those windbreaks or shelter belts, kilometers of them. You protected federal government investments or government investments like roads, water sources, oases. If you know the geography where we work, there are places which we call oases, and those oases are the lifeline of the people, because that's why you have depression and a high water table where agriculture is practiced. You protect those ones for them to continue to be able to earn their living, and that means you are now increasing the earning of the families and communities living in those areas. You are also providing employment, which is quite important, because anybody who doesn't have a job in those areas, what do you have? You see they're moving to the urban areas, and it's so-called rural-urban drift. And this happens all across this country. You know very well that there are some people who are caught, even during the close down, going as far as Lagos in articulated vehicles. They have to leave the place because the place is not giving them, enough means of income. So what we try to do is we try to provide them with income through, as I said earlier, protecting the areas where they do their agriculture, by stopping the sand dunes from, silting all the areas they do their agriculture. We also provide them with dry season farming, what we call market gardens. Market gardens are established in the communities so that, specifically for women, so that women can have something to do during the dry season. They will either it's vegetables, leaf vegetables, or fruits for them to harvest and go and sell and earn a living. This is what we are doing in those communities, and the people are getting income for that. And I think that is in the core mandate of President Buhari, employment generation. And once you get employment generated for the youth, you have done more than employment, because you've been able to keep this youth away from vices. Aware that there are so many there are some security challenges in some areas, on some of these areas now. And one of the reasons why you get that is because unemployment is so rampant. So we are trying to reduce the unemployment rate and increase the number of people who have something to do to keep their family together, stay with the family, and ensure that their children go to school, their wives go to hospitals. So we are doing that as part of our activity, and of course contribute to the economic development of those local areas. We are now expanding a little bit to provide employment for youth and women through training in handcrafts, tailoring, knitting, homemade making, all those things that they can do in their homes, and then earn additional money without going to cut down our few trees and then increase the problem of land degradation. Now, we train these people. For instance, we are training about 45 from each of the communities. And after the training, we give them what we call starter packs. In other words, if you are a tailor, you are trained as a tailor, we give you all you need to start the tailoring job in your own village. So you don't have to look for capital to start. If knitting, we give you machines for knitting. If you are interested in pomade making, local soap making, we now give you all what you require to start, so that once you start and sell, you can go back and get these things again, and life continues like that. So employment generation is key. We are also employing what we call our forest guards. Working in that area is quite difficult because I told you earlier, there are a lot of livestock, and livestock are looking for anything green. Now, if you plant an area out, you need to protect the plantation. Now, what we do is we do two ways. We do life protection, and we also do non-life protection. And the non-life protection is we fence it with barbed wire. But what we experience is that you fence this thing with barbed wire, somebody will come in the night and remove the barbed wire and take it to the market and sell. That is very, very rampant. So in order for us to have a fallback position, we recruit what we call forest guards. And from these communities now, we have recruited about 513 forest guards. And these are on monthly salary. They protect our investment in the field. They have an income coming from that. They have a direct benefit from those investments as well. So it's a win-win situation. He loses nothing, but he gains from unemployment. He also gains from the investment we are doing for them in the field. Let me first of all thank the President for coming to our aid in terms of providing additional funding from the Ecological Fund. The Act establishes the agency provides 15% of ecological funds to us in order to do all the things we have counted. And the President has graciously approved the release of these funds to us, which we got after every FAC meeting. And indeed, that has taken us far. But of course, there are challenges. Most of our work are technical, they're scientific. And when you are doing like that, you may be bound to make some errors in the beginning. But coming to the major challenge, our major challenge today is security. Out of the states we operate, you are aware that many of these states have security challenges. And this challenge makes it difficult for us to access our sites. It also makes it difficult for the people working with us, whether they are consultants or contractors, difficult to access the sites. This is a very big challenge for us. Now, and I believe that now that the security situation is improving, especially in the northeast part of the country where I come from, we are also trying to go back to where we were working, which hitherto was not possible. So that's the number one challenge. The second challenge has to do with our working partners, the states. In a federated system like Nigeria, all the states are independent political entities. Many of the states we've been trying to come together and work together in terms of funding, in terms of technical inputs, in terms of provision of land, and in terms of maintenance and management of our projects. We are getting some of the states on board, but some of the states are still not yet with us. This gives us a challenge because most of the things we are doing are responsibilities of the states and local governments. What we are doing, we are intervening. And we want a situation whereby all the states on a yearly basis would put some money to support us, put some technical officers to work with us, give us the access to land as much as we need. So this challenge is really more administrative than anything else. Now, what are our other challenges? Our other challenges are actually things we can easily surmount. But these are the two basic challenges we have. We look toward a situation whereby we can work with the local governments, work with the states harmoniously, and then achieve greater results. But today, as we are today, the major challenge remains the security in those areas we operate. When I assumed duty late 2018, I think November, December 2018, we sat down and reassessed ourselves. Where have we done well? Where have we done not too well? And why have we not done too well? So that we'll be able to do different things differently from what has been done before in order for it to achieve. One of the areas we identified as a big challenge in terms of the way things were done was the process of contractual processes. Hitherto, almost everything was given out as a contract. We sat down and looked at it. Now, if I want to plant, for example, 5 hectares of woodlot in Sokoto, and then I ask a contractor, who may be a lawyer like you, to go and do the job. I know very well that lawyers are not people who know much about planting trees. So the driving force there is that this contractor wants to make profit, and sometimes get our job compromised because it's not his priority really. It's just there to make money. And for us, yes, we pay, but we want value for money. So we realize some of the jobs could better be done not without giving them out as a contract. And this is a very big change we are trying to do. We've spoken to Bureau for Public Procurement. We are talking with them to guide us on how best we can be able to do this without giving it to contractors who may not necessarily have the knowledge and skill to do it. Now, if you don't have contractors, so we ask ourselves, how do you do this? Now, the reform there is that we say, okay, why don't we go to the universities? These universities have advantage of having pool of skills, experts, who knows about what we are doing better than anybody else. Fortunately, the universities have consultancy outfits. So, okay, why don't we go to consultancy outfits, discuss with the Bureau for Public Procurement, let them guide us on how they can come in to help. The project we are working out as of now, we have we had a marching order from the President to intensify the issue of afforestation. Resources were released to us, and as we speak, we are constructing so many nurseries, plant nurseries in the states, and each of the states we are trying to raise between 500,000 to 1.575 million seedlings in each of the states. And that will give us enough seedlings to plant out this season. And the planting season has just started because we plant when the rain has stabilized in the northern part of the country. Because it's not possible for you to irrigate all the sites you are working. And therefore you need to start planting at the right time. And the right time is when the seedlings have, the rainfalls have stabilized. So if we plant now, as we have just started planting, we believe that we'll be able, our seedlings will be able to have rainfall, enjoy rainfall for 2 months. Part of July, September, August full, and then part of September. And once we get that, then we are sure of a good survival rate. So the next year, once we want to do, we just go and check, and maybe 1 or 2 might have, and then replace them. So this is what we are doing now as we speak. We are also on the issue of smart agriculture. We have trained so many farmers in each of the communities we have on smart agriculture. Smart agriculture in the sense that you move away from the traditional way of thinking of agriculture. Our people have is like a time clock in their head now. They know when to plant. They know when the rain will start. They know when the rain will cease. But this time, because of climate change, it's no more there again. Climate change has made it so difficult for anybody to predict rainfall. And therefore, they have to move away from that and start doing agriculture using crops that are drought resistant, using crops that can mature very fast, and then we teach them how to manage this type of crops. We collaborate with a number of agencies. We have spoken and are still talking with the Border Commission Development Agency. We realize that they are doing some environmental issues, and they work mostly in the borders, and where we work is the entire northern border. So we are working with them. We are working with NDE. NDE are recruiting a number of people, providing employment, and they are working with us in managing our projects. We've spoken to National Space Development Research and Development Agency. We want a situation whereby in the near future we sit in our office and be able to monitor what's happening in the field. And we want to use satellite technology. So we had a discussion with them. They are happy to come on board with us. And we want a situation, as I said earlier, that they give us this technology. And then, of course, we'll be able to, if you don't have to go to Zamfara to see what is going, because Zamfara has security challenges, you'll be able to sit in your office and be able to monitor what you have. So these are some. We are also talking with the Ministry of Agriculture, which is, of course, the issue of smart agriculture, the issue of rural development, talking with Ministry of Women Affairs for the purpose of training, these are some of the ministries, and on our list we still have the Northeast Development Commission to talk to. The Northeast Development Commission, is a new agency, primarily established to look at rehabilitate the affected areas as a result of the Boko Haram insurgencies, and we believe that we have so many in common, and we're going to talk with them and see how we can interface with each other and deliver better results to the people. I, Dr. Bukar Hassan, the Director General of the National Agency for Great Green Wall, pledge my allegiance and that of the National Agency for Great Green Wall, and promise to continue to contribute our quota to the present administration's mandates, which are very clear: fighting corruption, generating employment, which we are doing as an agency. We are also very grateful to Mr. President for the support he has given us, the political support and other support he has given us. We also want to plead with the President to continue with this support, and also, if possible, get our state administrations in the areas we operate to work with us in order for us to deliver better dividend of President Buhari's political dividends, which we are already seeing. We also pray to God Almighty that the security challenges in the area we operate will come to pass, so that we can be able to deliver as much as is expected of us as an agency.